Hey, friends.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy with Eating Healthy, Spending Less, and today we're going to answer your questions about our marriage. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, how did we meet?
My car broke down on the side of the road. Amy was on day release from prison. She looked really cute in that orange jumpsuit.
For reals? Oh my god! Are you telling?
No.
Oh.
We met a long time ago.
We met when we were in 8th grade.
No.
And we were at summer camp with our youth group. And you were really quiet.
I'm an introvert.
And I'm an extrovert.
And not much has changed. Well, kind of a lot has changed.
Okay, so I had a crush on you.
Yes.
And
Still do.
I still do. And that's nice. Nice way to put it. And you noticed me.
Yeah, it took a little bit.
It took a little bit, but then you
took a couple
noticed
years.
me. And
Yep. So we were hanging out at the Kern County Fair. And
we were doing a service project with our youth group.
And I realized that I actually kind of liked you too, liked spending time with you, and started praying. And the Lord just kind of revealed, like, hey, Troy, you're an idiot. Pay attention to this girl.
Yeah, so we started dating when we were 15.
Yeah.
Dated 6.5 years, and then we got married.
Yep.
We kind of my parents had a rule. They didn't want me to get married while I was in college. They wanted me to wait till we both graduated.
And I couldn't afford to marry her while we were in college.
Yeah. So we got married. We moved to Fort Worth, Texas, where Troy worked on his master's degree. We had our first daughter. And that is how we met and got married. So, question number 2. Did you work before kids? So the answer is yes. So when we moved to Fort Worth, I was a receptionist at a dental office, and Troy worked
A bunch of jobs. Worked on campus, cleaning apartments. I did a summer job throwing things in a warehouse for UPS. I did...
Your favorite, though, was working at the retirement home.
Yeah, I was a waiter/server, taking care of tables at a retirement home. And at the same time, I was also working Radio Shack at a mall.
Yeah.
While trying to complete a master's. So things were hectic and busy, but...
We were hustling.
Yeah. Big time.
Yep.
Making that minimum wage.
How did I make the transition to be a stay-at-home mom? The answer is that I didn't enjoy working outside the home. And so I enjoyed my job at the dental office, but I really wanted to be a homemaker and a stay-at-home mom. And so Troy promised me that after seminary, I could stay home.
Yeah, my brother and I were raised with our mom working at our school when we were old enough to go to school. So I saw the benefit of having a mother that stays home and is able to help raise kids. And so I always knew that if Amy wanted to, I'd absolutely support it and work as hard as we could to make sure that happened. And so I don't regret that. We might have struggled for a bit, but the benefits far outweigh any kind of financial struggle that we had. And things are a whole lot better now, so we don't regret it. I don't think.
No, and you can work from home, and that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So.
And part of that question is, how do you supplement your income? Do you want to talk about that?
Blogging.
When Callie was little, before we had the other kids, Amy did a couponing blog.
Yep, I worked for SaveAtHomeMommy.com. It's still up. A lot of my videos are still on there.
But I would say that we figured out creative ways where maybe we weren't getting the money, but Amy was shopping using a ton of coupons, getting gift boxes from grocery stores and even restaurants.
Yep.
And so I don't think we were eating as healthy as we do now.
No, we were not.
But we did all right. having Amy stay at home and do what she could between naps and playtime.
Absolutely.
So, and now having foster kids and having adopted 3, we still do get income for the
Not
3.
income, stipends.
Okay. Amy counts it as her work pay, though. She absolutely deserves it.
I earn it.
Yeah. So
we'll get to foster care in a
Yep.
minute. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to talk about healthy eating. So the first question is, as you all know, I am plant-based. I went plant-based over a year ago because of my health. Is Troy on board, or was Troy on board when you began your new food journey?
No. Amy has a personality that's 100 miles an hour or nothing at all. So when she wants to try something new, it's tough.
Because I'm all in.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like, man, I hope this doesn't last. But I'm grateful now, having come many, many years from a huge change in our diet. When I was a hospice chaplain, I weighed a whole lot more and was extremely unhealthy.
How much weight have you lost?
80 pounds.
It's a lot.
But giving up gluten, and then, it wasn't just give up gluten. When we made that change, Amy forced me go off all sodas, get rid of all sugar, no more gluten. I mean, it was rough. So going vegan / plant-based was another one where I'm like, I don't want to give up meat.
But I came to you.
And for a long time,
I actually asked you to sit down with me, and I wanted to explain to you how I was feeling. Would you be on board? And you said yes.
I will always support Amy's choices, but what I didn't want was to be forced into something and cornered into it. So for a while, last school year, we were doing a lot more meal planning, prepping. And so I would get lean chicken breasts or something and cook those up for me to take with my lunch. And subtly, I think Amy just quit buying this stuff. Is that how it went? Because we didn't really discuss it.
I bought you some chicken this week.
No, you did. But it wasn't that weekly thing. And
right.
So when I stay home, like during quarantine, I'm eating whatever Amy's making. And this is what I've always told her. If you make it, I'll eat it. I might not enjoy it. But I will always tell you that you're a great cook.
Okay, so let's talk about budget. I think we answered the eating healthy. He pretty much took that all over. So the budgeting questions, basically we follow Dave Ramsey, his baby step plan. And there's so much information on YouTube and all over the internet about Dave Ramsey, but we really like his biblical principles behind it, and we agree wholeheartedly with it. We are actually almost out of baby step 2. My car is almost paid off, and when that is done, then we will be consumer debt free. The only debt that we will have is our mortgage. So that is how we handle our finances. As far as how to set up a budget, I actually have a post on this on my website. It's called How to Set Up a Cash System Budget. Because we're in quarantine right now, we are not using a bunch of cash.
Nope.
But we are still implementing those principles. So I think if you click the link here or here, I'll put it somewhere, then you will be able to figure out how to set up a really easy, basic budget. Okay, how do you spend... Wait, I don't know if that's... Oh, it is a budget question. How do you spend time each week together and go through the budget and make sure you are on track? Budget dates don't work for us.
It's tough.
You don't look forward to them at all.
No. So there was a time when I was in charge of paying bills. And there were other times when Amy was in charge, and I think we both struggled with having a lack of system of when things are due, how much to pay, and all of that. So we kind of just decided who's the one that has more time and is a better organizer and manager of it. And so Amy said she'd take it over. And at times I've put more stress on you and not wanted to be a part of the budgeting process.
So before we got into Dave Ramsey, we had many fights about finances. and not to put the blame on you at all. But in another video, I talk about how I got my husband to budget with me. You can click that if you want to watch it. But Troy liked eating out at lunchtime, and that was a huge money sucker for us when it came to our monthly budget. And I had many crying moments about the budget because we would go in the red so many months at the end of the month. And so setting up a budget was key for us. But budget dates, like I said, don't work for us. So what we do is I write out the monthly budget, and I basically ask you to sit down and I present it to you. And I ask you, is there anything I'm missing? And I did miss something this month. A training that you had this month, and I had forgotten to write it into the budget. So that's why it's so important for you to sit down with your spouse.
Yeah, it's a way to double check and make sure that nothing's overlooked. But to speak to, like, if one partner is very serious about it, I think I kind of watched from the sidelines as we started to get into the Ramsey financial state of mind. But when I started to see that we were making actual progress in paying down debt, and that we were able to live a lot more freely, it helps. It helps to see that it's actually working. And I think in principle, we kind of in our minds know, okay, it should work, but to experience it, it helps to create buy-in, because now there are times when Amy's like, well, we have a little extra money, let's do this. And I'm the one who normally would have said, well, let's do that, and try to convince Amy of it. But now it's like, if we hold on to this money, we can pay off a little bit more. So we're going back and forth to encourage each other, but also to kind of act as that safeguard.
And like I said, this did not happen overnight. We've been married for 13 years. This has been a long progression. How do we resolve financial disagreements?
What are those? Just kidding.
We don't have them anymore.
Not really.
At all, because we're on the same page. We begin each month on the same page, and that solidifies the month for us. So if you are sitting down with your spouse and then they're spending money that you didn't agree to, then I think that's more than just a budget problem. That's something deeper.
I think one of the neatest things that we've experienced quite a bit the last several months is when an unexpected expense that we had no control over. Medical bills, getting tires or brakes replaced. Oh my gosh. We thought we were going to pay off our car a little bit sooner, so now we just push it back a month. But that's okay, because as we're on a budget and as we're planning, a small thing like that can pop up, and then it kind of like a domino effect.
Yeah.
It causes more fights because of other decisions. But when you're on a budget and you have that extra in reserve, those things that pop up all of a sudden aren't as severe.
It's still a little bit stressful.
Yeah, but not nearly what it would have been 3 years ago. So
absolutely,
it's been great. We can prevent fighting by being on the same page and having money set aside. And
we bounce back off of each other encouragement. So like, I got really down when we had to get new brakes, and he's like, but remember, like, this is why we have a savings account. And so we really do try and encourage each other when an unexpected expense happens, like your medical bills. You were so upset about having to go to the ER and all that because of cost, but we just tweaked our debt payment to have the money to pay for the medical bill. So it worked. So, okay, so let's move on to conflict. Hopefully we don't have a conflict.
We took care of it off camera.
Well, we were just discussing a question, and I wanted to make sure that we answered it true to what they're asking. So my husband is such an introvert. It is hard to communicate at times. Any tips? Well, you've come to the right place, because introvert, extrovert.
Maybe a little bit. What does it take to get me to communicate? Time, but not pressure. I think there's, for me, after a long day, and Amy has been here dealing with all of the kids, and it stressed her out. Sometimes I might have left work stressed, and so I just need a minute to decompress. Um, Giving your spouse a little bit of distance and time, I think helps,
Okay.
goes a long way. We were talking about this last night, and a simple thing like just holding the other person's hand, or a touch on the shoulders, something.
Or me sitting on the couch with
Yeah.
you while you're watching something you want to watch, like a sport or
Spending
something.
time. For introverts,
You open up.
like Amy asked, well, what would just like make your day? And for me, it's sitting down and listening to music. Like, it's that simple as, or throwing something on YouTube and learning a new skill, whatever it is. I like watching woodworking videos. Amy hates it.
I like the ones that are real fast
Oh,
forward.
there you go. I'll watch stuff for like an hour and they're still not done with the project. But
Yeah.
I think finding ways to connect definitely helps. And communication will come. And just, I mean, if your husband's an introvert and you're struggling, just remind him, hey, dear, I do need you to communicate with me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, let's make it a priority, but I'm needing it now.
So sometimes when I have something really exciting that I want to say,
Oh,
yeah, I didn't even prep you on this one.
nope.
I have a hard time sometimes wanting to call Troy to tell him because I don't get the response that I'm hoping for.
I'm not much of a cheerleader.
Yeah.
There are times when I get really excited, but
You're an amazing encourager, but a cheerleader that's got pom-poms and real loud, and it's different.
Yep.
Being an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have exciting news, I kind of prep you. Like, I've got really exciting news, and I'm hoping that you will be excited with me. And it actually works. So
Yep. Sometimes
because
it hurts.
because Troy will come home from work and be really excited about something, and it shows, and he is talking a mile a minute because it's exciting to him. Mm-hmm. So when I have something exciting, I don't always get that excitement, So that can be a bit of a conflict for me because I don't feel like I want to share exciting news with you. But I've noticed that when I kind of prep you on, I have something that I really care about and I'm so excited about telling you, I do see you trying because you know how much it means to me.
Yep.
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 Okay. Let's go into this question. We are a blended family. How do I let go of my husband's past mistakes? That's a hard one.
A little bit.
Because we're not a blended family. And so I think he would be the best one to answer that because he's counseled so many people. And we didn't really talk about that in your past, but with Troy being a hospice chaplain for 4 years, he has done tons of counseling with a variety of different circumstances.
Yeah. So I think we start with what kind of makes Amy and I function well together. And this goes back to a couple of years ago when we were doing a Sunday school Bible study together, when things for us turned around. There's a study by Francis Chan and his wife called You and Me Forever. And in it, they simply talk about how as a husband and wife, they have the same goal. And that goal is focused solely on spiritual eternity to come. Mm-hmm. So for people that I've counseled that don't share the same faith or don't maybe have any faith, say you're not a religious couple, it's really hard to get to the bottom of issues like grace and forgiveness and trust. Because a lot of those things are so wrapped up in humanity. And let's face it, humans let each other down. We let each other down all the time. It's part of being human. So whenever I'm counseling someone, really on any issue, I always like to at least ask, okay, where do you stand spiritually? What do you believe? Because if you don't have that understanding that, after this life is over, we have something waiting for us in eternity, we can get so focused on the here and now. And that causes selfishness. It causes pride. It causes all sorts of that human behavior. But when we're on the same page and we know, as we raise our families, as we go to work, as we're just living life, we have something greater to live for. And dealing with conflict, dealing with issues of a breach in trust, dealing with issues of how do I forgive my spouse because they really, truly, deeply hurt me. It starts with our relationship with God through Jesus. And so I would say figure out how do I say this? What is it that binds you as a couple?
That's true.
Is it just simply the present and the physical and humanity, or is it something beyond that? We might get hurt by people in our lives. But if we want to be better, we have to work on ourselves and learn those ways to forgive, even when the pain is very real, even when there's scars within our lives. And so how do you move past things that a spouse has done? I've heard Amy very deeply before, and there's been a season where there was a lot of trust building. Yeah. There was a lot of...
It's how you grow.
A lot of intentional, selfless acts to say, no, you really do mean a lot to me.
One thing, and Troy doesn't know I'm saying this, is I get really hurt when he spends a lot of time on like games, playing on his phone and stuff. And so
I haven't done that in a while.
I know. And so, but what I'm saying is you made a sacrifice for me and you gave that up.
Yeah, that was hard. There have been other things that I've been invested in, spent time, resources on, that I've just said, okay, if Amy really does mean this much to me, it should be pretty easy to walk away. It's not always easy though,
right.
But you're going to invest where your priorities are. And so if your spouse isn't a priority, your investment's going to be pretty low, and your spouse is going to know that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do we set aside time to talk about conflicting issues, or do we just deal with it?
Oh, I run from it, hide from it, ignore it as much as I can, and then Amy says, "Hey, we got to handle this." Or
I don't like to just let conflict fester.
Not at all.
And so, but that introvert side in you lets it build up a little bit.
Yeah.
However, I've noticed though, when we do address a conflict, we can pretty much say, "Are you over it? Okay, are you over it?" And then we just kind of like move on.
Yeah, that wasn't the case when we were first dating or in our early marriage. But I think the more that we get to know one another, the more that, I know Amy loves me more than anyone else. And I think she knows that I love her more than anyone else. And
definitely.
The people that we love the most can also irritate us like no one else, and can also hurt us like no one else. And so if you understand that it is there are going to be times when I really hurt Amy and she really hurts me, but at the end of the day, again, we're on the same page. We have this eternal perspective. And so it minimizes the here and the now. It minimizes the desire to be selfish. And so I think when conflict does arise, it's pretty short term. At least it has been recently in our marriage. It's not something that we let linger, although there are nights when I think I go to bed angry. I don't know if Amy ever goes to bed angry. Occasionally.
Very rarely.
Biblically, we're told not to let the sun set on anger, and there's a reason for it. I think it's best to handle conflict when it happens. Go ahead and discuss it. You might not resolve it right away, but at least the talk has happened, and you can start to move past it. And so I know when I go to bed upset, I'm not going to sleep well. And so a selfish part of me sometimes says, you know what, let's go ahead and handle this now because I need better sleep tonight. I got to get up early and go to work tomorrow or something. But is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So we are actually going to end this video now because I just don't want for it to be a really long video. So this is going to be part 1 of our marriage Q&A, and we will see you next week for our part 2.